We're live, not financial advice for educational purposes only. Friday, August, what is it, the 14th? I think it's the 14th today. Sorry, let me get it. Just had to fill out paperwork and I thought it was the 14th. Yep, 14th, August 14th, live. All right. What's the market doing and why? Let's start with the S&P, the ES, whatever you want to call it. We knew that 77.93 was a big area. That was our R1. You can see resistance 1 on the monthly right here. Nothing but a headache rack until it wasn't ripped through. And now we are bleeding. Well, where are we bleeding from? Over here on the weekly, the 382, 78.30. We ripped through, cut below it yesterday. That was a wild push, right? We come up and that is the new headache rack, 78.30. So you need to be above that to be bullish. We're back below. If we get back below that 77.93, bearish. Perfect look on the NQ to play and understand, hey, you got to get bullish above here. Where's first target once we clear that? You look at the weekly 382, we run right into it. Take profit. Leave runners if you are continued to be bullish, okay? I've been talking a lot about the VIX, where we are with a lot of tickers and why I am cautious up here personally. So just know those and be aware. Don't just do it because. Let's look at the NQ. NQ says the same thing. I really watched this 32.24, the 382 retracement on that monthly. Yesterday, it was a headache rack. We bled up over it overnight, then immediately flushed it today. For me personally, as soon as we flushed that, I got short. And now I've just got runners on the short side to see where we land. First target would be that 29,885 right here on the monthly. We'll see if we get there. I'm not expecting a lot on a Friday, but I'm already in profit, have my stop set, and I'm just letting it be. We'll see if we push back up or what happens. If we break that, I'll look to reposition and potentially add some, because this weekly pivot will be gone as of the end of the day today. So I will have new weekly levels next week for my paid subscribers. Put those on your charts, know them, understand them. I will publish them with the 618 and the 382 because they are coming into play ever so much, and that's why I have them. The Dow. Let's look at the dangerous Dow. Any Dow traders out there? I don't know. It's like $5 a point or $15. I don't even remember now. I think it's $5 a point. It's really weird when you trade it. Same thing. Just sitting on that 382 on the weekly, 618 on the monthly. So that 53.8 is a big spot for it, that area. See what it does. Negative 0.25% today. Not the end of the world. Let's check on our favorite SMH. Having a little bit of a rough day, only down 0.7% after 2 massive days up. So not a lot to glean from there, but I tell you what I will glean right here. The monthly 618 said that's the top on these huge levels. That was the top 382, had the flush, ripped back above R1, run into headache rack at 382. Gain steam where off a weekly pivot. Where do we find resistance? 618. These will just keep you on the right side. When we run into these major levels, pay attention. When we use them for support right here on the monthly, pay attention. Then when you buy this, you flip over to your weekly and you say, where's my first target? And I don't have enough chart populated over here to show you that, but that's how I would play it. When I buy this right here as a support, and boy, does it fast, got to be quick. Because that's the kind of reaction we want. We don't want to be friends with pivots. We want to be enemies with them. We want to wick, touch, and take off. Easiest trade, because then you're green right away. We don't come down here and sit and hang out. I never like that personally, okay? I want to see reactions from pivot zones, okay? I don't want to hang out with them and try to cipher, well, what are we going to do now? I just like the reaction. You buy it. Could have ran this first target. That was pretty easy. Second target, you're trimming more profit. And then you go from there. Weekly pivot's going to be a major area. and I'd have to flip back to see more on that. But SMH down just 8.8% after 2 massive days up, up, up. So no massive bleed. It's pretty easy, really, being pretty light on the market right now. Let's jump over to gold. I know I've got some gold traders. Let's go take a look and see how the gold has been reacting and acting. Fair. I don't see anything that jumps off the chart. We are above the R1. We found support, but it really wasn't at the weekly pivot, bled below before it kind of found its wings, is hitting its head on that 44.4902, which is the weekly 382 between these two levels. Okay, so we keep it that simple. This was a good play off a pivot for the month, 41.35, up and away. Shows, that's what I like to see. That's why I mark these levels and have incorporated them. It shows price interaction, right? Big stick up, bull flag off of that reaction, still green candles. Rip through, we go to next target, sit here and put 2 candles on it, 1 candle on it. Support, next target. Walk the stairs, brother. Walk the stairs. Not too bad. Let's look at oil. See what oil's doing. Oil says what? Oil has green candles on the hourly. Take note of that. Off the pivot at 80, which we've been watching very close. We knew that we weren't really concerned with oil unless it got above our pivot. It has gotten above our pivot and is marching higher. One thing that I do want to talk about briefly that me and Phil have been talking about, one of my contributors, is heating oil, diesel fuel. Your car runs on gas, but the country runs on diesel. All right. This is very close to all-time highs. I think the all-time high was like 480. Okay, and I can put it on a bigger chart just to show you. But the thing that I want to talk about mostly is the narrative that they are all preaching is, hey, talking about a barrel of oil, what it cost, and what matters and why. I'm going to have to make this bigger. Study, edit studies. Let's take it out to a quarterly and just look at it that way really quickly on heating oil. There we go. All right, heating oil. High. I do believe that is the all-time high when I looked at it the other day. 483. We'll call it 484. This kind of looks like an ugly inverse head and shoulders, just looking at it. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. If diesel is going up, everything that we eat, consume, touch, 90 to 95% of what is transported in this country has diesel fuel involved. Okay. Train, 18-wheeler, farmers using tractors to plant food, harvest food, take it to granaries, right? Everything runs with diesel. I'd imagine those barges out on the river pushing those big barges are diesel. Okay. So just think about it, right? And right now everybody wants to talk about oil. Well, oil's not near the all-time high. Not even close, right? What are we running into? Refinery capacity problems. They're running at like 95% capacity. And the crack spread, I think is what they call it. I know that's an odd name, is the highest it's ever been. It's like at $80 or $90 compared to a normal 20. So keep an eye on diesel fuel if you want to kind of know what prices are really doing and why you're paying so much for groceries or anything really. That really matters to what's going on. And you can see pivots are doing a great job. The headache has been R2 at 435. You get above 435, watch out. We're starting to talk about getting into these upper 382, 618, and then the overshoot. So we want to be aware of that because that will have a bearing on the market. I know that bonds and all that good stuff is having issues. Also, the yen intervention that we did, that was massive. to help that currency swap. I think we've already ate up half of that. So all that money that we threw at it to help Japan was kind of a drop in the bucket, just so you know. Interventions are never, they're more Band-Aids, and they kind of set a diagnosis in the problem, which Japan needs to hike its rates, and we do not want them to do that for multiple reasons. So I'll get off that bandwagon. Let's look at MAGS. MAG 7. I think it's just had an okay day. Hasn't done a lot. Yeah, it's bleeding a little bit here. Sitting on that 382. Look what was a headache rack for the month. Was this 618? You got wicks above it, but you never got any good retest and hold ever. Just wick. Right into the bottom of the monthly pivot or the weekly pivot as well. I'm telling you, y'all, when you cannot, sorry, Midwestern kind of Southern roots. When you get to these pivots on this weekly and you cannot stay above them, it is not bullish until you get above that pivot, period. You can look at any chart and I can show you when we are below that weekly pivot, look for targets to buy, but not to think that, well, we're up here and we're taking off. Don't do that. Wait till it gets above the pivot and holds it. Gets above that weekly pivot and holds. And like I said, I used to, back in my younger days, I never even wanted to be bullish anything, any ticker that I traded. I don't care what it was, unless it was above this weekly pivot right here. Okay. It was that simple. I developed better targets and learned how to interact with it. If you want this indicator, let me know. I will get it to you, get you set up, show you how to use it, show you all about the stats and how to make it profitable for you. Let me see. Let's go look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA above the weekly pivot. So not a bad start. Where did it find the top? 227.49. Where's my 382 between my custom calculated levels? 227.21. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. I can't make it any easier. MU having another good day. Where was the top? Let's look. Look at this. When we have confluence on levels, 985.53 is the R2 for the weekly. 989, you know there's going to be a lot of resistance there. Went to 987, and now it's trading 963 right here. We know these are targets for a reason. Targets for a reason, right? Just listen, I know that I'm repetitive, but that's all you have to be, is very simple and repetitive. And here's what this looks like on a weekly. This looks drastically different than the MAGs, right? Having problems holding the pivot, puts in this low, which just happens to be the monthly 618. Gosh, come on. Come on. Puts in the, hold every time. Goes higher, gets above the weekly pivot. Look at this perfect consolidation on the weekly pivot right here. Perfect. 863.67. And then we just start ripping. First target, 933. We get there so fast that it doesn't even matter. You have just a slight pullback and then that other rip. And doesn't seem like it wants to give up. So that's some of the SMH names. We can look at TSM. Not /TSM, and see what we've got there. Doesn't look like anything too exciting or too, sorry, I'm getting a phone call that I know that number for some reason. I can't remember why. Anyway, we are getting there and we can't. 1010. No. Okay. TSM, we hold the weekly pivot here, just like MU, and we go higher. You can't fight against that. It is just Okay. Sorry, my other job is calling there, and I just want to see what that. They think they've called my office, but they call my cell phone. Holding weekly pivot, that's when you're bullish, right? And you look for first targets. 382, 618, peaks above, and doesn't have the juice. Once it breaks that, you know you're in trouble. Or at least you're not in trouble, but it's not support anymore. So now it's resistance till proven otherwise. And that's just how you view it. Not too bad there. So let's look at DRAM, and then we can jump off of that and look at some of those names that are powering that. I don't have enough data to populate anything there. Let's look at SNDK, SanDisk. Up 6.5%. This is what I've been talking about. They can push some of the memory names, some of the SMH names, but the Dow is negative today. The MAGs are having a bad day. And the NQ is just kind of stuck. Not having a horrible day, but definitely not having a ripper of a day, okay? So that's what I've been talking about, that money flow. It just doesn't have enough to make everything go at once. Yesterday was kind of an example of that with PPI, where everything got together for a minute. Even though the mags didn't have a huge day, they still had a positive today. Well, today they're not having a positive day, and you can see the result of that. I seen Tesla was supposed to be having a good day. I don't know where they are. They went red. They had something on a flying roadster. Okay, great. Like I said, in America, the bigger the mythical beast, the better we like it. Let's look at IWM, the Russell. Only up 0.25%, running right into our targets. The 618 on the weekly just doesn't get any better. Gets above the 382, holds, spikes, holds, spikes, and that is your top so far in the Russell. Keep these in mind. You cannot get better targets and know where price is going to interact. You can incorporate this into any trading style. If you're a fair value gap guy, VWAP guy, Fibonacci guy, Elliott Wave guy. There's some theory right there. If you want to really see some different ideas and theories, go check out Elliott Wave, and you could take 10 Elliott Wave and tell you why they are right. The Q, our favorite, is just kind of stuck in lingo here. We can flip over to the day, and this is how easy that is to do. So I'm going to switch it to day, apply it. I'll take that time down just a little bit. Let's look and see how the daily pivots have been doing. I have not looked at these today. I'd actually put that on a 5-minute, but that's okay. And then let's check on our hour 4-hour pivot that populates every 4 hours. And I will take this down to a 5-minute. Let's just do that for now. Just for sake of ease, let's zoom it in and see how the trend has been today. Okay, 4-hour pivot says nope. So this was your top. Break daily pivot, which take note, that's just like your weekly pivot or anything. Once you blow it, what are we looking for? First target. We come down. We are actually closing below the overshoot on the 4-hour. We did close below it. Doesn't happen much. And now that new pivot on the 4-hour is 30.59, 29,994. So 30,000 would be your first target to the downside on the day, because we are staying below this 30.77. Looked above it and failed right away. Red candles on both means take warning. Our momentum is going the wrong direction. And we measure that on much different time frames in a specific way. And right now we are not having any luck. All right. With that, I'm going to leave you with that. I'll do a big weekend update, maybe show some of the yearly pivots some more, the quarterly, see some names that matter on those and see where we are. The biggest thing that I am taking away from this market is they are not having a general push on everything at one time. And that is, like I said, it's going to keep us right here where we are for a while. Let me take you to the monthly on this VIX really quick. And let's look at it because that has been a major thing that we have been watching. Yeah, so we're down here. We are at the 382 on the VIX. And we're not knifing it red candle style. Filled that gap. VIX loves to fill gaps. Filled this gap. Filled this gap already. So that'll be a big watch next week. And you can see we're having just a little pulse in the VIX, right? Like I said, we're down here. Volatility, nobody's scared. Pay attention, because when everybody gets on one side of the boat and nobody's buying protection, that's usually when you can have a little issue in the market, just a little fluctuation. And today we're having a baby fluctuation. This is not even a fluctuation. This is just kind of some distribution. But we know the ES is so important at this level that we keep gaining on right here. 77.93. If that breaks, that's because the Q's breaking down. But if this will hold, it'll be a good sign into the weekend at least. But Sunday night at 5, these will open. I'll put out your new levels on my subscribers on Substack, and we will see what it has to offer, because Sunday from 5 o'clock till Monday morning at 8:30 my time is a long time for them to do whatever they want. So we'll see how the close is, and we will check back in this evening if I can get here. All right, as always, we will talk soon.